The creative economy is broken.
But we're still here. Barely.
I'm Anna Marie Cox.
And I'm Open Mike Eagle.
And this is Past Due, a podcast about what it really takes to make a living when one job isn't enough and three still won't pay for your therapy.
We're talking with artists, writers, comedians, people who have figured out how to survive, or at least they fake it really well.
We talk with all types of people and get into the wins, the losses, the scams, the things they've done that were smart, and the things they've done that were not so smart.
Starting May 7th, you can listen to our podcast wherever you find your podcast.
Because someone has to say it. This economy sucks. Coming up, we've got guests like Paul F. Tompkins, Linz, Adam Conover, Taylor Lorenz, Maggie Mae Fish, Rhett Miller, Trayvon Free, and Ted Leo, just to name a few.
This is Past Due.
So, Mike, I asked you to do this podcast, and I'm curious why you wanted to. Why did you say yes?
Well, I enjoy talking to you. That's the number one reason I said yes. But the subject matter in particular, it's been pretty important to me lately. I can solidly say my money has been funny for about a year now. And it's been difficult to try to figure out how to survive as a musician, as a podcaster, content creator, when all of the structure that I've been dependent on is sort of falling apart. I've been struggling to deal with it. And oftentimes I find that struggle has been made more difficult by the fact that I feel like I'm doing it alone. Having the space to discuss these things and talk about them with our guests, it's really kind of cathartic for me. So I feel very fortunate to have the opportunity to join you on this journey.
I'm curious about the alone piece of it. What do you feel like you can't share about it?
What gives me the sense of being alone in the struggle, I think, is largely informed by how I have to represent myself on the internet and on social media, where there doesn't feel like there's a lot of space to be honest about when I'm going through challenges, especially economic challenges. And I think there's some underlying things about the expectations of rappers, musicians, and I've had television shows. And I think there's this idea in social media that you're always supposed to appear like you're doing well. There's not a lot of space to let people know when you're not. I've fallen into that. And I often wonder if the other creators I'm seeing online, if they're dealing with some of the same struggles that I am. And I think there's just a lot of walls up between me and other people about the reality of our situations. And I think that's what ends up making me feel like I'm going through it by myself.
It's interesting to me. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this with you is that you've been so open about your mental health, right? And like you are, to me, unusually vulnerable for a guy and a rapper.
Sure.
Like it happens. And it's so interesting to me. Rap is an interesting genre about vulnerability, right? Because part of it is about being vulnerable. But then obviously there's the whole other part of it. I think it's interesting that in this day and age, a lot of us maybe feel more comfortable sharing about our mental health than we do about our finances.
I think that's true within the culture of hip hop or Black American culture. There's been a long discourse about normalizing talking about mental health. The sort of groundwork has been laid for people like myself to feel more comfortable sharing. There's been a conversation about Black people going to therapy. That used to be very taboo. Now it's very normalized. I think when it comes to finances, that conversation is not so, it just hasn't been discussed as much. It hasn't been unpacked as much, especially in the sense of somebody who's quote unquote made it, but then things get real. We have a long history of documentaries about, athletes and entertainers that lost it all, right? But if you've never reached those heights, we just don't have a lot of examples of publicly talking about that in a way that's sort of like compassionate and not, messy tabloid stuff. So I feel like we're breaking new ground on that stuff now.
I think so too. And I think the two narratives is like you make it and you make it, or you make it and then you lose it all. It's like this humiliating thing and it's
Right.
tragic and it's a lesson for other people. I think there's a much more common and unexplored narrative, which is the one you and I are experiencing. And it turns out also our guests are experiencing, which is stability followed by instability. Let's not even
Exactly.
call it success followed by failure or wealth followed by poverty. It's just stability and then instability. I think it's true for everyone, but creatives feel it in a particular way. Like I find it somewhat humiliating to live in this instability. I should be doing better. I had all these
Right.
opportunities. I took advantage of these opportunities. I was making a lot of money. And now I don't.
Let me ask you this. As we have this conversation, I am encountering the sort of embarrassment. Not that I'm feeling it now, but I'm thinking about, yes, that is why I don't like to tell people on the internet when I'm having problems like this. And I feel like for me, part of it is I'm supposed to be smart. The world considers me a smart person. And if I'm smart, I should have figured this out. And if I am telling people that this is not figured out, I am telling people that I am not smart. I am curious if that feeling, if that's part of the equation for you.
Yes, I feel like if I'm someone who's supposed to have it together, to confess that I don't have it together financially means I did something wrong
Right.
and that I should have known better. And what's more, it's all my fault.
Right.
It is all my fault. I wrote this big piece about the way that the entertainment industry is falling apart structurally. And yet I have a consistently difficult time seeing that I'm part of that. My career is
Mm,
part of that disintegration.
right.
And I can see it in other people, I can see it in friends, and I can see it. I could write a piece about the way that the journalism industry was structured in a way that all these people were going to be left behind. It's not anybody's. Very few people have a responsibility that they lost their job because of something they did, or
Right.
they're not getting work because they're not good at it. But when I look at my own life, I'm like, well, clearly I just didn't work hard enough.
Right. Like the just this that impulse to internalize it for you and you alone.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do the podcast. One is that I've been obsessing about finances ever since I got destabilized by my divorce. And I like to do podcasts about what I'm obsessed with. I feel like I did a lot of destigmatizing around mental health, talking about my addiction, talking about my own mental health diagnoses. I got a lot of really good feedback about that. I do feel like I made a difference in people's lives. And this is the next frontier.
Mm,
I believe that we benefit as a class of people when we can see our struggles as systemic and work together rather than hide what's going on. My hope is that this podcast helps us stabilize ourselves.
how about it?
Please like, subscribe, etc. Once we start having ads, use our codes. I do think that a feeling of solidarity can help create kind of a more shared economy,
Mm,
right? Like we can reach out to someone in our communities and be like, "Hey, let's start a podcast together," or "Hey, let's put on a show together," or "Hey, let's tour together and we'll split what it costs," right?
yeah, it's like the mutual aid model of media.
Just support the people who do the work that you love. Every little bit helps.
That's
Like,
it will literally help the things that you love survive if you support them in any way you can. Past Due starts May 7th, and you can find it wherever you find your podcasts.
we can't fix the economy, but we can complain about it.
Yeah, we're going to complain.
Maybe survive it together. Find us at pastdupodcast.com.
Past Due is hosted by Anna Marie Cox and Open Mike Eagle. It's produced by Andrew Steven. You can find more at pastdupodcast.com and help support the show by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/pastdue. You'll get bonus content, extended interviews, and more. If you like what we're doing, another way to help is by subscribing, sharing the show, and leaving us a review. Thanks for listening.
Stop doom scrolling. Start decoding the tech, rewiring your week and your world. The Interface is the BBC's fiercely informed, fast, and funny take on how technology is changing everything.
Hosted by journalists Tom Germain, Karen Howe, and Nikki Wolf, each episode unpacks week by week the unfolding story of how technology is shaping all our futures. No guests, no jargon, just three sharp voices debating the tech news stories that matter, whether they shook a government, broke the internet, or quietly tipped the balance of power.
As TikTok shifts geopolitics, Trump drives digital shockwaves, Elon Musk expands his space internet empire, and AI reroutes the routines of everyday life, the trio asks, what world are the tech titans building for us? And do we want to live in it?
Find The Interface from the BBC wherever you get your podcasts.
Not all darkness is dangerous. Sometimes it's the doorway to becoming whole. On the brand new podcast, The Shadow Sessions, hosted by me, Hibab Al-Faqih, a psychologist and trauma expert, we shed light on the hidden corners of the human experience. Through raw, unfiltered conversations from the edge of healing, The Shadow Sessions invites you to do the deeper work that leads to real change. Follow The Shadow Sessions wherever you're listening now.